I'd like to make a confession. I am a chronic Googler. Now, since I'm sure that a lot of you out there are probably feeling a bit confused, thinking, what in the world is a Googler? I'd like to explain it to you in the best way that I can, with a quick Google search. So, we can see that the first result reads, a Googler is somebody who is a habitual or regular user of the Google search engine. So, in a nutshell, what that means is somebody who likes to search up anything and everything that comes up to their mind. As for me, I'm most often a Googler when I'm doing my school assignments. So I may need help with something and go online to look something up, but that small little search ends up spiraling into an endless quest for information that brings me not really close to where I originally started with. For example, I could be assigned a physics passage, and instead of doing that, I could end up watching a YouTube video about a college professor talking about the 4 fundamental laws of nature. Or instead of doing an English essay, I might end up researching the whole entire lineage of the Royal English monarchy. So right now you're probably thinking, why in the world would I do that? Why would I waste my time learning this useless information that's not even taught in class? Well, I used to think the exact same thing too, but after some more reflection, I've realized that although this isn't what's being taught inside classrooms, it has a lot of meaning and interest towards my learning. And I believe that even though this learning isn't what's being taught in classrooms, it can be very beneficial. Now, that's not to say that the stuff that you do learn inside school is unimportant. In fact, quite the contrary is true. It provides the very foundation for everything else that you do. But way too often, I see in myself and my peers a problem of students being just unmotivated, way too overwhelmed and stressed out, and learning stops being fun. So I'd like to offer a solution to this horrible problem, and the solution emphasizes students' interests over adhering to a very strict and rigid curriculum. Specifically, instead of doing so many boring, repetitive textbook assignments, it's important for students to have more exposure and opportunities to research their own questions about topics that they learn inside of school. This is so important because if students get to learn what they're interested in, their performance also improves. Now, there's been a study on middle school students which has shown that self-selected texts, meaning the students themselves pick the books to read, those texts and the students who chose them showed remarkable improvements in feelings toward reading and in general with assessments, whereas students who are assigned books often perform worse. And in another case with 2 groups of different students who were struggling at first, one group was given the chance to choose their own assignments to work on, while the other had to follow an assigned work by the teacher. In this experiment, once again, it was proven that the students who chose their own work were much happier and gained a lot more from the work. So, learning beyond what's solely in the curriculum can bring a lot of new perspectives to students and help give them passion and motivation for learning again. And this is so important because it can give them a big sense of direction. This can be seen in the case of the famous theoretical physicist Richard Feynman. As a high school student, he was loud and unattentive and obnoxious in his math class. And while most teachers would have dismissed this and said that it was due to just him being a bad student, his teacher thankfully realized that it really stemmed from a lack of interest in the class. So the teacher decided to give him a book and some additional problems to help show him new ways of doing the same old things that they were doing in class. With this, Feynman regained an interest in math and went on to become one of the most impactful and most important physicists in the history of science. Another example of how learning beyond just the basic curriculum can show new ways and give new perspectives on the world can be seen in the case of former President Bill Clinton. Now, as a high school student, Bill Clinton was very successful and especially excelled in music, medicine, and law. However, like many students, he didn't really know what he wanted to do later in life for his career. Thankfully, that changed with an assignment from his Latin class. The assignment was a piece of enrichment in which students had to participate in a mock trial during the time of ancient Rome and be a figure and argue in a case. Clayton decided to go above and beyond what was required and ended up learning a whole lot about history, culture, but most importantly about the inner intricacies of the world of law. And with this, Clayton later states that he was really inspired to pursue finally a career in the public sphere. And he ended up becoming one of the most successful lawyers and a president of our country. So, as we can see from these various examples, learning beyond the book and learning about your interests can really yield positive results because it can give you motivation, and in the cases of Clinton and Feynman, it can also bring a lot of success. But most importantly, it gives people a sense of direction. As for me personally, when I was in 3rd grade, I used to have music classes every week, and we learned about great composers and their works. However, most of my classmates weren't really interested. But I decided to go after school every day and listen to some new music, some new classical music, and research about this amazing world. And this developed a love of classical music for me and a passion for playing the piano. Now, I'd like to show you this picture. This is me at a recent experience at performing at Carnegie Hall. If my 3rd grade self had known that me going beyond what was taught in class and learning about classical music and the wonderful world of piano, that sole action could lead to this, I never would have believed it. But right now, I firmly believe that the endless tangents that I had on the computer learning about new music and stuff like that really contributed to my success in piano and really gave me a new passion. So I'd like to end by giving a little piece of homework for the audience, but I promise it's not that bad. And besides, what would a TEDx event at school be without some homework? So I would like the students in the audience to think about a subject in school that they're interested in but they haven't really explored that deeply. And I want the adults to think about something in your life, be it in work or your personal life, that you want to learn some more things about. Well, now I would just like you to take only 10 minutes out of your time every night this week to learn a bit more about this specific topic. I think it is very likely that at least one person in this audience will learn something new and interesting that will give them a whole new way of looking at the world. I mean, you can ask my 3rd grade self and he'll tell you the same thing. Thank you very much for your time.